Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everyone doing? Good morning, OD Green. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Sterling. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, David Atkins. Good morning, Dabo Yan. The boy. Oh, the boy Andy. The boy Andy. Good morning, Andy. Sorry, it took me a while to see it. I wish we would put people's names up again. Good morning, Ted. Thank you for putting in Goolsby's comments. Good morning, Jacob. Where did the original 2% inflation target come from originally? You think it was scientifically based or look it up sometime. Oh boy. Good morning, Yogi. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Tony. Thank you for putting in the earnings. Sterling, good morning, Daniel. Are you back in town yet, Daniel? Uh, what else? Broadcom was a beat. People wonder why the stock is down because look at the PE, look at the earnings. Yes, it was a beat, but not by that much. It is trading super expensive. Costco's still trading like 47 times earnings. Flat. I'm watching for Costco to continue to break down even on rallies. Uh, what else do we have? What else do we have going on? Well, we got Paulson speaking, Hammock speaking. Goolsby might already be speaking or speaking again at 10:30 Eastern. Then we got rig counts. But it's a very quiet day. Very quiet day. December Friday. Heat map. You have Broadcom down over 5%. A lot of other chips besides NVIDIA. NVIDIA bouncing. Mixed on the mega caps. Mixed on the mega caps. Still rotation into healthcare and financials. Costco's down a little bit to 33 basis points. 33 basis points, a little into some consumer defensive move in there. Groups, basic materials, healthcare, financial, consumer, cyclical, all leading. Technology and real estate lagging today. Fed watch still has another pause priced, or a pause priced in for January. Fear and greed. We're in neutral mode. Dow at all-time highs, and we're finally at neutral mode. Oh gosh. Schiller PE 4067. Yay for us. Good morning, Balaji. All right. In terms of earnings this morning, uh, let me see. I was just reading Sterling's comments. I'll put that up in the beginning. In a minute. Broadcom yesterday. Lululemon Sterling didn't put in a restoration hardware. Lulu was a beat, a little bounce there. Little bounce up. Lulu's been really beat up over the last few months. Restoration hardware. They miss? They missed on one thing. I forget, and I don't have it in front of me right now. Hey, holy. So you were wondering about Costco. Costco. Yes, this took the double top is off the table. Do I still expect lower prices? Yes. We have the negative rotation zone. The only thing that would change my mind in the short term is this double bottom triggers. I'm not expecting it to. We have the rollover. And by the way, if you don't know what Sterling's referencing, you count the bars between the two tops, and then if it extends farther to the right than that number of bars, it's off the table. This is still a very critical point, though. There's a very critical support point that we're below it right now. Costco's super expensive still, close to 47 times PE. 47 times PD. That's going to come down a bit because of their earnings. But again, it's Costco. I'm going to be watching for this to return closer to the 50% retracement from this up move and converging with the 200 EMA. We have the negative rotation zone. So yes, the only thing that would shift my opinion in the short term is if we triggered this mini double bottom, which might be off the table by the end of today. And it's breaking down from a very major support base. So that's why. All right. Remember, just because there's no double pattern does not mean you still can't trade lower. So, what else do we have? Morning, like you said, I should remind you what a probability for a double top signal that I got confirmed will eventually be triggered. What the probability for again, it depends if it's against the rotation zone or not. Once the probabilities, once it's triggered, depending on double bottoms or double tops, for against the rotation zones, the higher ones are when the rotation zone is out of the way, and those can be in the 60%. Once it's confirmed, see, a confirmed double only trades, especially against the rotation zones, it's nearly a 50-50 that it will get triggered. Okay, there's a lot of other factors. That's why I don't normally cite a probability once it's confirmed. There's a lot of other factors that come into play that vary the probabilities on that one. But if you want a broad, just because something's confirmed, which let's go through this. So just looking now, this is nowhere near confirming or triggering yet. But if the S&P came down and traded below this low, this 65.25, it would be confirmed. It does not have to close below that low. If it came down here, move below it, it would be then roughly a 50-50 basis that it could close below that low and continue on down. That's why there's a confirmation and a triggering point. If you want to trade them once they're confirmed, that's fine. But it's why I don't cover that here that much is because there's lots of nuances for trying to trade those. Okay, and I don't want to try to confuse people. It's easier, especially when you're learning, to wait for them to trigger. And then you can always wait for, like on double tops, you can always wait for bounces to get in them. For example, dollar index triggered, okay? But now we've got the pullback. I am now looking for a bounce play to get in it as long as it's not invalidated. We might be getting one with a potential setup for next week. Or if it comes too far down, it's not. Why didn't I rush into this? Because the dollar was very overbought with cycles at the top that were rolling over, and we had the potential double top, and we couldn't break above the 50. So I was looking for some kind of pullback. And as I put in the unfiltered investor, if this double triggers the double mini double top, then I'm going to be patient and watch for the even bigger pullback. So there's lots of nuances, but I wait for things to confirm to trigger more often than not, unless I have a front run pattern, which we've talked about in the past. Oh, your Costco protest is working. Why are you protesting Costco again? You're going to short Oracle. Well, don't trade mad. That did a double bottom trigger on a NASDAQ on 6 and hit his first target. You're looking. What's that? 6-65. This was not a double, by the way. This was not a double. Why? Because the targets, if you're looking at that one, the targets exceeded the move that started it. So, no. This, when we got above there, my first target became this area, 825. And then we had Broadcom's earnings. All right. That was not a double. Remember, just because something's not a double does not mean that same critical area that could trigger not a double is not still very valid. Okay? It just means you can't trade it with the double targets. You have to use different targets. Well, I use different targets. You don't have to do anything. You're welcome, Heinrich. 60 minute. Yeah. Oh, the DEI hiring policy. You know what? Okay. Your boycott's obviously having a huge effect. If I boycotted every place that had a DEI hiring policy, my boy, I'm glad more companies are getting rid of it and going back to merit based. Can we hire on merit, please? Is that too much to ask? So the 4 hour on the S&P, we're back above the rotation zone, so I'm paying attention to the rotation zone again on the pullbacks. We don't have a topping pattern yet. I'm looking to see if we might. On the daily, we're getting DeMark potential sell setups up here against the prior high area. So are these major yet? We still have to follow through and get below the daily rotation zone before I'll really consider more of a substantial short. But then we have the 50 in the way. So other than that, I am watching going into next week for potential top areas. We still have weekly cycles climbing. We have waning momentum on the weekly too. I'm going to be watching to see if we go into today and make a little mini 4 hour double top. Go it for starting next week for a minor pullback. But that's about it. Other than that, if we don't hold the 68.90 level I talked about yesterday, which we broke above, 69.25. And then if we take out 69.25 to the upside, 69.50 area, 69.53. Didn't earn it. Is that what DEI stands for? Didn't earn it. I know I've heard that before, but I've definitely forgot it. So thank you for reminding me, OD Green. Yeah, I just never understood that. Uh so I'm still looking. I still got to stay in bullish mode. It's waning for me, but I still got to stay in bullish mode. If we break below 68.90, I'm looking at 68.75 to 68.80. And then my major support level right now is down closer to 68.35. 68.35. Right at the near to closer to the bottom of the rotation zone. We'll look more into that. I never traded it, but the targets look good and support lined up. I put harmonics on every. Well, there you go. I put harmonics on everything too. Harmonics are the way to go. So that's what we're looking at right there. That's what we're looking at. By the way, on a bigger pullback on the S&P, I'm looking closer to 66, 67.75, right around the 37.5 harmonic with the rising 50. The NASDAQ dragged down by Broadcom, but still just in a consolidation. Not as bullish on the NASDAQ today. Again, not very bearish either. Key support right around 25,460 to 480. If we break below that, my key line of the sand is right around 375, 380. If we broke below there, it's back to the 50 EMA. To the upside, my first target area on any rallies of 25,790 area. If we were to break above 25,868, then still the magnet price is 26,087, but the minor price is 25,26K. So that's where we sit there. Again, I'm not as bullish on this yet. We still have some room with daily cycles that are contradicting the weekly, but I'll be looking at this to potentially. It's lagging with some of the other sell signals, but that's because it's been weaker. So we'll see. The Dow, yes, the double top is still in place. I should say what is that? How did that get unanchored? Let me fix this. There we go. The potential double top is still in place, even with the breakout to new highs. Next key target is 49,160. On a pullback, now your major support is back at about 48,370. With the rising rotation zone in the minor, I'm watching we're overextended in the Dow, so I'm paying attention to the 8 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. The Russell also breaking new highs, hitting the 2599 harmonic, which is roughly also the 26,000, getting to 2605, also very overextended. The potential double is still in play. May never trigger, may never even be, it may be invalidated. I'm paying attention also to the 4-hour rotation zone. If we pull back, I'm paying attention to about 2588. And then if we drop down more, I'm looking to 2571. Some of these things are getting very overextended. VIX, there you go. Even below 15 right now. I am going to start looking for volatility hedges again. Gonna start looking. People are getting way too complacent. Don't know what would trigger it, but when we get down here in these kind of very complacent markets and we get potential, I'm not even talking about the double tops, I'm talking for DeMarc stuff with some potential sell setups, going to be looking for volatility hedges. Not all in, but minor volatility hedges. The DAX hitting the 75% harmonic with a potential little topping out in overbought conditions with cycles at the top. Key support, I'm looking back at about 24,161. And it bounced off another 24,486 area, which is a very strong resistance area. We spiked up there, and it's still proving. Now, if we can get through there, 24,650 is the next target, but I'm watching for a first pullback. The yields are very, 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 very interesting. I need a new laptop. Windows 10 on old, no good anymore. Supplies only good deals. That's interesting. Hey, Christoph. Thank you for tuning in. Palladium and platinum look cheap versus silver. Silver would not be chasing. If you're in silver, that's great. Manage your stops. Would not be getting in new silver positions right now. This is where it's trail mode only. Gold, we finally rotated up. Let me get through the yields because this is interesting. We had that at one point yesterday, we had a big red bar down to the bottom of the rotation zone, moving up, closing above the top of the rotation zone, and then a rotation buy entry on a break above yesterday's high. Setting up now, the only thing that will change my mind on yields in the short term with this head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, is if we trigger this double top pattern, which would require a yield collapse back down below 411. Other than that, looking for higher yields. Look at the 30-year. Had the minor double top against the rotation zone hitting that first target, and then boop. So remember, I was not looking to short anything with the 30-year yields for pullback only. 30-year yields with a big inverse head and shoulders approaching the first target. 4.88. By the way, when I have a first target of 4.88.4882, my first target is 488. It's technically, see also why I'm doing that. I'll show you. Okay. It's right at, see this breakdown area? Just in front of that first target. That's why that's my first target area for anything I'm trading yield related. By the way, if I'm trading something that's not exactly the yield, like I'm trading a proxy for the yield, I will still use the targets on the yields to trade to modify stops and everything on the proxy, if that makes sense. Crude. I'm going to be looking for some buy setups down here. We don't have one yet. We might. Is this in double bottom yet? Not yet. I'm looking for maybe a potential double bottom down here. We're not there yet. Then I might even look for a front run pattern for that, because there's a pretty strong support base down here, so it could be traded with decently tight stops. And that's not a big bounce because it's against the rotation zone still on the weekly. But this is a very key support area. Natty Gas broke through. I was looking to see if we were going to get any bounce with the potential head and shoulders. Nothing. And no buy setup yet. Next key area for me, I'm looking, and this is being patient, 3.98 to 4. 3.98 to 4. There's still a gap left behind also. Natty Gas, that is a bearish candle, but we're coming into the weekly rotation zone, and there's strong weekly support about 3.95. So then I will watch for only a secondary reaction bounce. Gold. We ticked off the 87.5. We still, yes, there is still a potential weekly double top in place, but this is not shorten. This is not shorten anything yet. If it does break out, 440, 460 is the next target. Okay. Again, you have dark screen. If you're out there, rotation zone, do not trade against the rotation zone. The trend is still up. When I'm doing this, it's buy setups only in the short term. Silver. Continuing checking off the 60, roughly the 63.95 harmonic. Next key area is 68. If it continues higher, just be careful. This is getting parabolic. Parabolic does not end well. Does it have to stop yet? No. But be careful and know where your stops are for short-term stuff. For longer-term stuff, keep in mind that this thing could easily drop back $10 in a heartbeat. Copper also did the double potential. Again, this double was not, it's still potentially valid. I'm still looking for some higher prices, especially this 555 target. And then if we get above there, the possible 575 target. The only thing that would change my mind in the short term is if we quickly reversed and triggered this minor double. Platinum breaking out. There you go. Platinum breaking out. Yes, there is still a very horribly sloppy double top. Probably will never trigger before it gets invalidated. 1832 and then major cluster 1881 to 1894. There you go, Christoph. Dollar index we already looked at. Looking for a potential play if this does not set up or trigger. Again, this would be a bounce play only, and then potentially that's to get above the rotation zone again to turn into something more in the short term for me. Euro hit the first target on the double bottom yesterday. Not much else to talk about there. The good old Bitcoin still caught in the channel. Nothing to talk about there. Ethereum, after completing the double bottom pattern, returning to the rotation zone and very key support. Okay, and spiking into the rotation zone. As long as this area holds, I'll look for a potential minor buy setup for a retest of these highs. But if it doesn't hold, it's hands off, and again, might look for shorts if that does not hold. But Bitcoin has to break down also. Hey, Roscoe, you're doing big snores, buddy. I know. I hear you. The spiders coming out. approaching near highs yesterday, but not technically new highs. 687.40 is key support. We're opening 688.30 area, 689.17 to the gap fill on any bullish move. Next level support is closer to 685. If we break out higher, the major harmonic price is 694.50. The Qs coming down, hitting the bottom of the rotation zone, rotating up yesterday, but a gap down this morning due to Broadcom. Mainly 622.20. First magnet price is 625.58 to the upside. I will be looking, if we do rally first, though, to 623.80 area to yesterday's open. Key support coming in right around yesterday's low, 618. Oh boy, Rossi. What else do we have? Tesla still has the double playing out. I'm talking the double bottom, the potential double top. If we rotate back up, turns into a triple top. Then this potential double top is off the table, but the dominant pattern is still the double bottom that's triggered and hit the first target. Well, hold on. Let me get back to where. Oh, I got to get back to IWMA start to fade with yields rising again. Yeah, and they've been trading off the short-term yields, but we shall see. We shall see. I'm looking for more substantial top in the Russell coming up shortly. Do you ever look at Argentinian stocks? I do not. With the midterms out of the way and and the country returning to credit markets, this could be a hot market. Remind me in the beginning of 2026. And if you have anything you want me to specifically look at, let me know, Christoph. Thank you for bringing that up. I haven't looked at Argentinian stocks in a long time, but if there's some stuff you want to bring into the group for us to consider, let me know. And my dividend stocks too. What, they start fading? I'm getting more and more interested in dividend plays. More, especially for 2026, is going to be a theme of mine. If we want to sideline some cash out of the equity, what would you recommend? Would you recommend BIL ETF, or is it just stupid? I don't trade. I can't comment on this one. I've never traded this. I just put my stuff into T-bills itself. Okay? That's what I do. I put it into T-bills itself. I guess, I mean, you rotate it in the short term, that's fine. If you don't want to go if you don't want to move money around that much. See, also on interactive brokers, they pay a really good, if you're sitting on cash, like you could rotate out, they actually pay a pretty good rate of return. It's not as good as a T-bill, but I don't have to move money around, therefore. But other than that, if I rotate it out, I just put it in T-bills, but this could be an option. I've just never done anything in BIL, so I don't know if there's any other risks or anything involved in it because I've not thoroughly looked at it. Look at the 10 twos. Here's your 10 twos. Just continuing to grind higher. Continuing to grind higher. And it did close above the 62.5, and we're back above it. So we could continue to see this approach 1. So there is nothing here yet. So again, good thing to point out. Thank you, Jake. So if higher metal prices are inflationary and central banks around the world want to pause rate cuts and Europe even looking to hike at a hike, yes, it is inflationary. But we're gonna be cutting. Don't we need a rule? We need a rule. That's all I'm saying. All right. I went over into the open. Let's see. Let's just tell my dog's going crazy with the snoring. The markets are boring him, obviously. Again, I'm really paying attention to the 68.90 level. 68.90 is very key for me into the open. Where's inflation coming from? It's just sticky. It's a lot of things that are sticky. And I disagree with Powell. Services inflation might be coming down, but it's sticky. Great dividend stock one. Okay. What is one? Okay. I do not normally oil and gas pipelines. Okay. One I've not looked at. One I have not looked at. Interesting. Interesting. Paying a 5.5% dividend P to E of 13. That could be interesting, especially if it does get a pullback here. That could be interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. Redeemed Patriot. Thank you for all. I'm going to do some more research into that one, especially if it's forming a longer term bottoming pattern in the support area. That could be interesting. I'll have to look at that more. With that, thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend in December. We got when does Hanukkah start? Is that next week? Got Hanukkah coming up. We got Christmas in under what's that? In 2 weeks? Under 2 weeks is Christmas already? This is crazy. So everyone have a wonderful, wonderful like a December holiday festive weekend, whatever you do. And I'll see everyone next week, and we'll see what the markets are going to bring if we're going to get another pullback. And then everybody's going to say, Santa rally, Santa rally. Let's see what happens. Bye for now.